Chiyomi Haseguchi, otherwise known by the pen name Nekojiru, was born January 19, 1967. She grew up in a well-off family and began her life in just the way you'd imagine. Her first word was idiot. Seeing as there's not much information circling about her actual life, I'll take it as a sign to lay off and be respectful. However, seeing as this is a documentary about her, I'm going to try my best to sum up what I do know based off of articles, prior knowledge, and other documentaries. Her life up until the breach of fame. Nekojiru attended a beauty school near her hometown, and many who knew her or had seen her expressed how interesting of a person she was. Her friend, Yoshinaga Yoshiaki, had stated previously that she had a history of depression, which she believes stemmed from when she was still living with her family. She had a tendency to be blunt and wasn't concerned about social etiquette, which leads some people to believe she was on the spectrum. More details backing that theory up was her difficulty making eye contact and frequent staring problems, which made people very uncomfortable without her even realizing. According to her husband, she had some sight and sensory issues, as well with raw meats like fish. There is a common fight between whether or not Nekojiru was using her talents in art to express her views on the world, which she believed was more evil than good, or if her work was of a high-functioning psychopath. Some things people like to point out, specifically Reddit user McSleepy on r/manga, giving their thoughts on Nekojiru's darkness and psychopathic tendencies, such as her lack of care for readers, her wish to be forgotten, and wanting to be erased from the world after her death. She expressed her own disapproval for her characters, and everything within her manga contributes to that same evil perspective she saw within humanity. She had a total lack of compassion and was excited from the idea of violence. Other Reddit user, Masalaneda, responded with their view, stating, "I think it's not like that. To me, it reads more like the cynicism and anger are a response to perceiving too much cruelty and injustice to bear in the world." End quote. Which I actually agree with more. Seeing as she was never a person who liked to share her life with others, and that even shows considering the fact she only ever let one picture of her circulate the internet, so what we know of her now, not including what she seemed to write about in her manga, couldn't prove anything besides the fact she was secluded and perhaps on the spectrum, including the fact that she really just suffered from what we know now as diagnosed depression. Moving on, when she was 18, she married her previously stated husband, Hajime Yamano, an alternative manga artist to which she helped shade scenes. She initially had no interest in becoming a manga artist, but piquing her husband's interest in an octopus-looking cat doodle she had done, she had written a short story and illustrated what would become Nekojiru Udon. Throughout what would be of her short manga career, she would bring several strips of manga of her characters to her editors, to which they suggested she make the stories more friendly and appealing to a broader audience, to which she denied. Luckily for her, that was the best decision she could have ever made. The publish of her first manga, Nekojiru Udon. Nekojiru Udon, otherwise known as Cat Soup Noodles in English, was her first manga published in June of 1990, including short stories of Nyako and Nyata, two anthropomorphic cats who shared a cruel and dark humor. Her work would start to gain popularity during the manga trend in the 1990s, her stories piquing the interest of the general public, but teens in particular. A lot of her manga was also written based off her own experiences, but most were straight from her dream journal. She also had a travel journal, which would consist of drawings of her and her husband and stories from when they traveled to different places around the world. There were plushies, several other manga strips, keychains, and other merchandise made following the interest her readers took in her work. As the manga got more popular, Nekojiru and her husband began to take on a ton of workload, seeing as they only had each other to help with the art and writing. This would prove challenging, especially for Nekojiru with her background. During a conversation with one of her editors, just a week before her passing, she told him how she was tired of all of the work she had to do. Keep in mind, she was living her life very terribly, staying inside all day, rarely ever sleeping, trying to stay on top of several deadlines that just kept piling up. She also said she wanted to leave with the money she made to live in a developing country with her husband. On several accounts, Nekojiru expressed how she wanted to quit doing manga and how miserable it made her. Nekojiru's death. Haseguchi died May 10, 1998 to suicide. She was only 31. She didn't leave why to the public, and if she did, she requested it to be private from others. She did leave a note, but what we know from the note doesn't give any insight into why she did it, although that obviously isn't something we need to know because it's her business. The things she did allow to be public from the note consisted of, "Forget I ever lived," "I don't need a grave," and of course, "Don't talk about why I died." She also seemingly requested to be buried with all of the CDs made by Aphex Twin, but that's not confirmed. Her death was also speculated to be a copycat death to the musician Hyde's passing, who also died by speculated suicide, but her husband denied those allegations. After her death, her husband continued writing for her and creating manga with her characters under the name Nekojiru Y, the Y standing for Yamano. Whilst Chiyomi's style of writing was usually more disturbing, Yamano's style is more based on the characters traveling the world in their adventures. Currently, the manga is on an indefinite hiatus, with the most recent work being published in 2013. Besides the manga itself, there was also a short movie called Nekojiru So, or Cat Soup in English, that was created around 3 years after Nekojiru's death. I'm pretty sure her husband was the one confronted about having the movie made, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. JC Staff was the company that produced the movie under the hands of the director Tatsuo Sato. Although Tatsuo is not the biggest name on this project, and the person attributed to the storyboarding was Masaki Yuasa, who had also been a part of the making of Devilman Crybaby, which I've actually watched being it a few years ago, that providing his amazing adaptation work. I won't be commenting on who should get more credit for the movie. Moving on, the creators worked to make the best adaptation they could, trying to keep on theme with the original manga and the dark humor. In my honest opinion, I think they captured her ideas pretty well. When I initially watched Cat Soup, I had no idea the story behind the movie. I just watched, and even the credits of the movie amazed me. It was wonderful, and it carried such an amazing story. The movie has almost no dialogue, consisting of mainly sounds and beautiful music to accompany it. The basis of the story, which I don't want to ruin anyone else's own opinions on what the story is presenting, but the story surrounds the two cats from the original manga, Nyako and Yata, an older sister and her younger brother. As Nyako passes away, the soul of her younger brother, who happens to drown in the family's tub, goes to retrieve her soul from death to bring her back to life. It is an incredible adventure, and although the two don't end up together in the end, Nyako does end up being brought back and being able to live once again. Overall, just the animation itself, besides the story, gave me shivers. One of the creators, who I cannot remember at the time which one exactly, said one of his least favorite scenes from the movie is when Nyata gets his arm sewed back on, but in my opinion, that is one of my absolute favorite parts of the movie, just because of how smooth the animation is. Besides what happened post Chiyomi's death, I truly adore her work, and I'm very happy I discovered it, even if it was after her passing. Exploring her world and how her mind worked was truly an honor, and I really enjoyed learning about more of her life and what might have been the reason she created the type of work she did. If you found this video interesting, make sure to like, and comment what you would like to see next. Until my next video, thank you for watching.